All right, we're rolling. We got to fill in today. My good stud friend Cam Baker, because Kevin was being a loser. So filling in, Cam. If you want to introduce yourself quickly, you can.
I'm Cam. Thank you guys for having me. Happy to be here.
Of course, sir. Sure. All right.
That's all I have. I don't know.
All right,
What
word.
else you want from me.
All right, so we're rolling. We'll get right into it. A
right.
little over a week ago, we had the Super Bowl. We had the Bucks just obliterating the Chiefs, and you guys can give normal reactions to the game if you'd like first, just to start off. Just anything that you'd like to say, but make sure you touch on the question. Now that in Mahomes' two playoff games against Tom Brady, losing both of them, can he ever become the GOAT over Brady in the future? Riley, that goes to you first.
So, first of all, sorry for last week, fellas, and everyone watching. We just had some life goes on, had some stuff we got to get through, and now we're here. So, welcome to the episode this week. So, Tom Brady just absolutely destroyed Patrick Mahomes last week, but it also wasn't all Patrick Mahomes' fault. I think that game you saw him do some just unbelievable throws, and he had one of his best offensive linemen out that game. So you're playing the Super Bowl with a backup. Yeah, right. Multiple offensive linemen. You're playing with backups. I don't think the O line really had a chance, and Patrick Mahomes was getting rushed in about 2 seconds every single time he went to throw the ball. Did he make some unbelievable plays trying to get out of the pocket and make a play happen? Yes. Did those plays end up in his receivers dropping footballs? Yes. So I don't want to put that game on Mahomes just because he had like almost no team around him that game at least. But nonetheless, I don't think I was kind of surprised to see Brady get MVP. I mean, obviously, if it has to be one person, it's obviously going to be him. I think the defense balled out that game. I think they just kind of tore it up, and they don't get enough credit. So credit to the Bucks D for that win. I think that's the main.
The problem
factor.
is you can't give it to the whole defense.
I know.
There was
that's
too
why
many.
I'm saying
There's too many people that were
right. That's
played
why it went
too
to Brady.
good.
Like it has to go to one person, and of course it's going to go to Tom Brady.
Right.
Even though he got bailed out a few times with throwing a pick and getting that call reversed. But I think it was almost a boring game to watch as a fan because it was just a steamroll of you're watching a good team versus a decent team, and it's a Super Bowl, so the good team's obviously going to beat the decent team.
I don't know if you should be calling the Chiefs a decent team.
I think
that is
they
a
were
bold
with the O line that they had, their offense went from like first overall to like 25th overall. I'm saying like in terms of like, they were banged up. The Chiefs were absolutely banged up going into that game.
All right. Well, Riley just opened another door to discussion. So Cam, you can touch on that too. Riley, just before you hand it over, just can Mahomes ever be the GOAT?
Guy's got to win like 4 Super Bowls in the next like 7 years for that to happen at bare minimum.
Then he'd only have 5.
Right. Exactly. I mean, he's also still a super young kid. I think it's gonna take a miracle, but I think it could happen. It's just odds are it won't happen.
Okay. All right. To you, Kim.
I'm gonna make a prediction. Next 2 years, I think we're gonna have a rematch of the Super Bowl. Either next year or the year after, we're gonna see it again, and I think Mahomes would have to win that game to prove himself as better. But if that game never happens, I still think it's 100% possible. He just needs to have more insane seasons, keep proving himself, and he's gonna have to win a lot of Super Bowls. He has to show he's competitive in the postseason.
Yeah, I think GOAT status almost like you need the Super Bowls. That's why Montana doesn't really hold water to Brady because he doesn't have the Super Bowls. Same reason why Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees doesn't hold water in that argument because you're not.
They both have only been there like once too.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
I'm with you. Like that, like the LeBron MJ debate. Like MJ was 6-0, but LeBron's been there 10 times.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Like my big argument to that is like I literally have a document where you can walk through every year that Jordan didn't make the finals. Now, when he gets absolutely blown out by the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, why is that just forgotten? Like that's my thing with that.
But you also got to put like he also got there. He also got to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Like,
yeah, but
with Aaron Rod-
he gets all the privilege because he won 6 out of 6 finals. But like LeBron's takes every team he has to the finals.
Well, that's like Aaron. You can say Aaron Rodgers can never be like put on this pedestal because he never got one more than one Super Bowl. But yeah, he's gotten to the NFC Championship game like 8 or 10 times. Like he gets there.
Yeah,
just
he hasn't
can't
even
finish it
won.
up.
It's not like he's 1-6 in the Super Bowl.
No, right. I agree.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just saying it still takes a good amount to get there. And I think you
Yeah,
gotta
for sure.
sprinkle in that little take.
Yeah, Kim, you got anything else?
Going back to the MVP, who else would you have given it to? The only other one I could think of would be Devin White, but
Yeah, I mean that's who I was thinking. If it had to be someone else than Brady,
Shaq Barrett. What about Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh?
He's first of all, he's gonna be
no, they
gone.
all had insane games, but
Shaq Barrett's gone after this year. He already said he's chasing the bag, which is massive for that defense if he leaves because he was a crazy part of that defense.
They still have a ridiculous line without him, though. That defense is.
Oh, I know.
And the thing is, their secondary is young, so
Yeah,
that
their
secondary
secondary will be really good for a while.
with already very good linemen and a good front
Right.
four. Their defense is good.
But they are losing one of their better defensive players, unless he gets paid, which I don't think Tampa can even afford, because they're paying a lot of guys big money right now.
Brady
which
might take
also-
another pay cut from what I heard.
Mike
though.
Evans said he would.
Yeah, I was just saying Mike Evans. That's
Evans,
massive for them.
and I bet Brady would in a heartbeat. He did in New England
100%.
all the time.
Yeah, he absolutely would. But it's
He's
having
not serious about the bag.
winning a Super Bowl and having the exact same team, that's tough to do. That's why you don't see a lot of repeats.
Yeah.
Like the last
Especially in
week
the
it was
NFL.
right. The last week
Yeah.
it was the Pats in 03 and 04. Like that
Yeah.
just doesn't happen often.
It's
so hard to
it's
keep a
so hard.
core.
Because the thing is, it's just hard to keep the core. The thing is, in football, it's hard to keep people healthy.
Right.
It's hard to
That's
keep
true.
all 22 starters healthy.
Agreed.
All right. So for me, first, I'll just say it was a brilliant offensive and defense performance from the Bucks. Their offense literally couldn't be stopped. If they needed to, they could have scored well over 31 points. The Chiefs had no answer.
Mhm.
And on defense, you held probably one of the greatest offensive teams I've ever seen with my own eyes to no touchdowns in 60 minutes of play. 0 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I
that's
would love to see. I would love to see that game with offensive O line though. I think he's still getting pressured a ton, but it's not going to be as bad as it was.
Yeah,
Like,
no, but the thing is, like, it's not like it was a 15-9
No.
final score. Like,
No,
the thing is, I
100%.
think it would have been an absolute offensive shootout, because if they have an offensive line, you might have a game where defense has 0 answer at
Chiefs
any point
defense
of
has always been the weak point of that team, though. Like any game the
True,
Chiefs
but
play,
they have some weapons, and they came up in big points throughout the season.
oh
that
yeah,
just
well yeah,
weren't
they
there.
still have some big names, but I'm saying as a whole, that defense isn't like not even a top 5.
The unit is inconsistent.
Right.
they're definitely inconsistent.
So my thing, getting into, just to touch on it, I don't think that even with that offensive line, you can label the Chiefs as a decent team.
No, that's not. I
I
think
think you play that exact same game 9 more times, same defense, same offense. The Chiefs have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes, possibly the most talented quarterback I've ever seen with my own eyes. They were a Super Bowl contender team, regardless of the offensive line there. They just didn't play to their standards.
No, they
That's
didn't. Yeah.
my view on it.
they're.
But
I mean, when
do
you
think
have
that they're
your
still a Super Bowl team,
when you have the 2 best receivers dropping balls, pretty catchable
Yeah.
balls, at least in their
and
standards, you're not going to win a
props
game.
to Todd Bowles too, because
Yeah,
was
that guy put up a hell of a defense.
an unbelievable defensive scheme. For me, the Brady or the can Mahomes ever be the GOAT question is really tough for Mahomes in a lot of ways, because one, at this point in his career, he's lost to an old man in the playoffs, head to head, the guy who was the GOAT twice. And one, he has to get to at least 7 Super Bowls, which is highly, props to him if he does, but 6 more would be pretty insane. And to Cam, what you said, I just find it. I just think at this point, the cards are not in his favor because, like, say he does in 2 years, there's a rematch, he beats Brady. The argument is always going to be, okay, congrats, you beat a 45-year-old man. Like literally,
That-
he's 45.
That would happen this year, though, 100%.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
exactly. But the thing is, Brady's already proven himself.
Oh,
from a
100%.
whole
Exactly.
position.
And I think that's a fair point to say Mahomes. Mahomes has been in the league for what, 3 years? And he's been to the
Yeah, he
Super Bowl
still
twice.
has to prove himself.
Exactly. Mahomes been in the
Right.
league for 3 years, Super Bowl twice, won one, Super Bowl MVP, regular season MVP, 50 touchdowns in a year. And
Yeah,
that's
Which is
only
here's
now.
It's pretty crazy we're even having the GOAT argument when the guy's been in the league for 3 years. That's how much of an impact he's
without a
had.
doubt, he's
Exactly
the,
what
he's
I'm
the most
saying.
unprecedented talent we've ever seen.
Right.
And I,
Which
But
is
here's
props
my-
for him.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Cam.
all right. Oh, and I don't think Mahomes is like a Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson's an elite QB. I'll take him whenever. But mobile QBs have proven like they have that couple years of doing good, and then they fall off. Mahomes, Mahomes is look at him in the Super Bowl. He was running all over the or in the backfield, and he was doing fine. Even if you take that away, that dude can still throw the ball 80 yards down the field. And
That's a very
That's
good
defense up.
point. Very good point. I don't like the thing is Lamar Jackson, if he wants to prove himself, he needs to win a title in the next 3 years before his legs run out. Because once his
Yes.
legs run out, he's a below average quarterback.
exactly.
And people their teams start to figure out the mobile QB game. Like, even nowadays, people are starting to figure out Lamar Jackson's game. There is a game plan around it. And
The
teams are
thing
finally
the
starting
thing
to
I have
like
to say to that
put
is
together.
it's easy to plan around that when you have a team that isn't good at throwing the ball, regardless of Lamar Jackson's ability, because they need a big receiver. Because Mark Andrews isn't getting the job done as a big target. You need someone to complement Marquise Brown. You need like a Julian Edelman or like somebody reliable in the slot to give you those like down the middle passes when
Or you
your
need a guy like
outside receiver
Julio.
aren't-
Or you need
I mean,
a
a
big
guy like
body.
Julio
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah,
hurt.
it'd be always nice to have a
Thanks.
guy like Julio. I'm just talking
Or
like a
like-
realistic.
No, yeah. But like I'm saying you need that bigger body, like a DK or like what should have been N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
Like you need a bigger body
Yeah,
to
but-
catch those 50-50 balls.
Right, 100%. It's
'Cause
just
Marquise
those are,
Brown
those are
beat you-
diamonds in the rough, you know.
Yeah, right. And he'll beat you he'll beat you pure speed, but he's not winning most 50-50 battles.
Especially when you don't
Which-
have a go route quarterback. He's
Right.
not-
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And in when you're throwing the deep balls, you're gonna have those 50-50s. And you have to come out on top with more than half.
right, for sure. My last thing to say for the Brady Mahomes debate, like I said in the last episode, Tony Romo said this was LeBron James versus Jordan. One of the things people always say about Jordan, it's just like when he had a chance to win, he always got it done. He had a killer instinct. Like nobody's as competitive as that guy. Say Jordan decided to, when say the time they were born in a little different ages, like say in the last couple of years of Jordan's career, he made a finals run and went against a young LeBron. All people would say nowadays, if Jordan won those games, is, well, LeBron could never beat him, so
Exactly.
it's even more fuel for the debate. So since they would use it for that one in that situation, I'm using it here. In the future, if I look down the road and they have seven Super Bowls, I still am like, head to head. It happened 2 times where Brady came out on top. There it is. When
Yeah,
the
it's
game
pretty
matters most, he
it's
was
pretty
better.
fair. I mean, it also you don't only want to look at Super Bowls. You want to look at the other accolades. There's still
Yeah.
16 other
Yeah.
games in the regular season.
Yeah,
There's still
but
two
the thing is,
to
Brady
three
always
other
has
playoff
that.
games.
Brady has the touchdown. Is going to keep the touchdown record in the history of the game. He's one of 3 people to pass for 50 touchdowns. He is a passing yard leader on the top numbers most years. He has the personal accolades matched with the 7 Super Bowls. It's just like the most complete resume you could possibly have. It's hard. It's hard to match it.
You just called Mahomes LeBron, and he's in year 3, and he's been shattering numbers ever since he's gotten in the league. If he continues, he could shatter all of Brady's numbers, and even if they ended
Right.
up 7-7, you could just look at the numbers. Mahomes could be way on top.
Right. That's exactly what I
Even
was
with
saying
the two
before.
losses.
Yeah. The thing is, he would have to play at the level he's playing for Brady's in year 21. Mahomes would have to make it to year 16, 17 at least at the pace he's playing to even come close to the numbers. So, I mean, there's a lot that could happen. But
I mean,
the other
also
thing
for
is that's yet to
Mahomes,
be seen is can Mahomes do it without the two weapons?
right? I was
Brady
just
has
gonna
done
say,
it with countless numbers of people. If Kelsey and Tyreek aren't there, what can Mahomes do? That's yet to be seen.
he's always had a
personally think he can.
solid offense to rely on, because
Yeah.
and you have weapons that besides yourself, like there's been plenty of years Tom Brady had absolutely no one to throw the ball to, and he still made a deep run in the playoffs. Even 2019, they went like 8-0 to the first 8 games or something like that before losing to the Ravens last year with very minimal targets to throw to. So I think
Not very dynamic receivers. Not Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey, that's for sure.
no, yeah, he had Edelman, and that's really it last year. Or 2019, I should say.
I mean, I feel like Mahomes could do it with anybody. I feel like he's just so talented. Like, give him anybody, he could make them good. He can make them better.
I absolutely think that's true, but we're speaking
Hypothetically,
without
agreed.
evidence. So I'm interested to see. I would love to see it.
The next 2 years for the Chiefs, I think, are going to be really interesting because you have a lot of contract years coming up.
I don't know. There's also like you have an AFC with a lot of up and coming quarterbacks. Like it's not like it's for me right now. It's not like every year you knew the Golden State Warriors were going to be in it. For me, I don't think it's a given that they'll be there. Like the Bills are not going anywhere. The Chargers are going to make a run. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to leave without a fight. Baker Mayfield still has the same weapons and is getting better every year. Like you have a lot of teams, young talent in the AFC that could still make a run.
Yes, and it's also week 1 of the offseason now. Who knows what kind of big names are going to sign places. Like something like 18 quarterbacks beginning were going to move around. I think now it's like 12 or 13. You still have tons of big names that have to sign places. It could really, the AFC in particular, I mean NFC too, but AFC in particular is really going to be a super interesting 2021 season.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, it's weird because the AFC is a lot younger, like across the board. Like
look at the NFC.
Rams.
Yeah.
What?
Look at the NFC QBs that are in it: Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
And now you throw a 33-year-old Matthew Stafford into the mix too. So like it's
that Rams team could be really interesting this year, though.
I am very. I think they're my top pick right now. My very
shout
early...
out Jay Blaze for the Rams. I think NFC champs could be the Rams this year. They got the weapons. They have the coach. I think Sean McVay is the next Bill Belichick.
Mini Belichick.
I think you have great receivers on deck. You got Cooper Kupp, who's finally healthy again. You have Robert Woods, who's just a stud all around. You have this absolute monster in Cam Akers at running back this year. And you still have...
They have a good D. They have a good D.
Still have the best defensive player.
Coaches too. Wade Phillips is
Jalen Ramsey, I think.
Yes.
And they have a really good chance. I'll be very disappointed if they even make wild card, or if they're even in the bottom 3 seeds. Like they should be a top 3 to 4 seed in the NFC this year. And if they don't, I think they're totally missing expectations.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's an upgrade at quarterback too, which we talked about that in past episodes. That's yet to be seen. How is that for time, Ryan?
We're chilling.
All right, so we'll move on. 3 Red Sox fans in the room here, but we're just going to talk about the Red Sox trading Benny Biceps, aka Andrew Benintendi. Just to give you guys some stuff to talk about. In his first 3 years, Benintendi hit 296, 291, and 290, which 3 first years, big prospect. Then he kind of fell off, horrible season this year, hitting pretty much under 200, like under 200, which is,
not good.
The question is, was this a good trade? I I have the trade here. So crap. All right. So the trade breakdown is the Red Sox get Frankie Cordero and 2 players to be named from Kansas City, along with a right-handed pitcher and another player to be named from the Mets. The Royals received Andrew Benintendi and cash considerations, both from Boston. And then it was a 3-way trade where the Mets get an outfielder from Kansas City. So this guy, Frankie Cordero, who's like the biggest name that they got, as opposed, and then they're just getting a couple other prospects and a pitcher. He's a pretty good prospect. He's had 300 MLB at bats in the past 2 seasons, both a lot, very short stint in 2019 and then abbreviated season in 2020. And he wasn't really a starting player. He only had like 40 at bats. But in those games, he has a total batting average of 236. So that's some context. So, Cam, you started off. Was this a good trade by the Sox?
For the Red Sox, no. I don't think that's going to be worth it at all. I don't think we're getting much back. Just like the Mookie trade, I don't think we got enough back.
Yeah,
I feel like we went from Mookie, JBJ, Benintendi to what?
Yeah.
Verducci.
That's the best defensive outfield you could make.
Yeah.
In the entire league.
Hey, honestly, I was not high on Verdugo when we first got him, but now I think he's an absolute freaking stud. So
he's gonna be good. Don't get me. But is he better than any one of the first 3 I just mentioned?
No. But he
not
also
defensively. Not defensively. I think if you replace him with JBJ, though, that's a very good offensive too.
Yeah, but that's why they had JD Martinez at the DH just to make up for JBJ.
Who also shit the bed last year.
I don't know if we're gonna get much more dominance from him. Hopefully I'm wrong, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I just don't think the trade needed to happen. I think all Red Sox fans were kind of looking at the trade like, why? Like, what was the reason for this trade to happen? We need pitching, but I just don't think it's going to pay out for the Sox at all. I think Andrew Benintendi was a good PR guy. I think he was good locker room guy. I think he didn't have a great season last year, but wasn't he hurt for a decent amount of it?
Yeah, he had injury issues. He kind of has never been the same since his injury issues. That's another.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to pay off, and it just didn't seem like it needed to happen. They needed to happen. So.
He's 26 years old.
I heard this new guy hits piss missiles though, so that's pretty cool. But
who, Frankie?
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos of him hitting like bombs.
Yeah,
but I just don't know enough about. Well, the names aren't announced yet. Like the other guy we're getting from the Royals isn't announced, and these 2 prospects who no one knows anything about.
A lot of them, all of them could be prospects too, though. That's the thing. Like you never know who the other names. Basically, now the Red Sox do research and they're like, "I'll take that," and then they have to.
I feel like MLB trades are tough because there's so much other stuff involved. Like it takes a few years. You almost have to look at trades like 2 years after they happen and like revisit it, because you're getting a lot of times these MLB trades have these prospect names that no one knows, or a player to be named later that isn't going to pan out until a couple of years. Then we can reevaluate and be like, oh, this player was a good fit, or oh, they just stunk.
That's a very good point. And just, before I get into that, I just want to make this remark, and you guys can comment on it if you will. I think baseball is the hardest of the major sports to rebuild a franchise. Like 100%. There's evidence there, like massive droughts with teams like the Red Sox and the Cubs who didn't win like for a century. And like I think about it, like you have the NBA where there's only 2 rounds, only 60 players. And the difference with football and basketball is like you kind of you don't know what you're getting. Like there's still busts, but like if someone can shoot a basketball or if someone can throw a football or catch a football, like Those are things that you're going to do day in and day out. Whereas hitting a baseball is a lot more like
Well, the thing about
streaky thing.
right,
Like,
and the thing about baseball, it's so not one player oriented. Like
yeah,
you really need
exactly. You need
contributions
to
from every
build
single
all
player in your
aspects.
lineup. Like in football, as long as you have a good quarterback, your team will do okay. And I
Yeah.
think that's been exemplified for many teams. But in baseball, if you just a bunch of okay guys, you're not going to get very far. Or if you've like one stud and a bunch of like below average everyone else, you're not going to make ripples in the water because it's just such a team game.
There's over 100 minor league teams, and that's why there's so many. That's why there's hundreds of rounds in baseball. In basketball, there's what 13 players per team. That's why there's 2 rounds. You don't need to fill much back. NFL is similar. I mean, more than the NBA. It's 53, 54 players for a team, 7. And baseball is hit or miss, like you said. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, and that's what I believe. And
I think it's like scientifically proven too.
No, yeah, that's scientifically proven.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it. People went from all-stars, MVPs, straight down. Look at Josh Donaldson. He went MVP, came back down, and now look, he's back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's such a
anything can
streaky
happen.
game. Like, yeah, there's like look at like Rusney Castillo for the Red Sox.
Exactly.
Absolute stud. He was predicted to hit 300 almost every year with like 30 home runs, and now we're paying him millions of dollars to sit in the minor leagues because he's ass. Like, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm with you guys. Being a big supporter of Benny Biceps myself, it was tough to see him go, and I just so far I'm really not impressed with the new head of operations. What's his name? Bloom, whatever the Red Sox's new chairman is. I don't really agree with a lot of the decisions he's making. I hope he proves me wrong, and maybe this kid Frankie will hit 50 bombs a year. That'd be great. Maybe he has some way to figure out our pitching woes that will make us good in years to come. But so far, like, the Red Sox is not an organization where you can have bad years consistently. Like, you just if you're gonna be the head of operations in New York, LA, or Boston, those 3 exclusively, like, you just can't screw up that often. Like, you have to be on top
Boston
of it.
expects winning seasons. Boston expects championships. And when that happens, like when that doesn't happen, I should say, people are going to let you know about it. And as
exactly.
anybody,
You're going to become hated quickly. Bobby Valentine had 1 season, and he's probably the most hated Red Sox manager in history. Like, just from that 1 year, like that. We're a ruthless fan base. I'll admit it. I pride myself on it at the same time. So right now I want to tell Bloom he can go screw himself. I hope he proves me wrong. That's where I'll leave that. Anyone else?
I mean, that's all I got on.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Word. All right, we're gonna shift gears to basketball now. We're talking a lot of trade talks happening right now. 2 of the most exclusive ones being Andre Drummond in Cleveland, and the probably the biggest one right now is Blake Griffin potentially leaving Detroit, having some, he's having some issues with the higher ups there. With teams, a lot of teams making some really big title runs. Where is a place where you think that these people should land? Like, what teams are in need of bigger men, maybe more veteran, still good type players to like finish off their team to put them in that next tier where you'd put them at the top. So like, what's like, you don't have to go into like details of the trade, but what's a team that if you're that head of operations, you're saying, I'm going after him, and then name that person. Whoever has one, you can start on this one.
I mean, first, I'll just say I'll just say Celtics because they are horrible right now. I think Tristan Thompson is not who we thought he would be. He's not putting up the numbers we thought. When Daniel Tice is your top two big men, that's saying something. Not that Daniel Tice isn't a good guy, but he's just not he's not there as a center. So I think Celtics are starters. I think, Carolina, Hornets could use. Or they're the Hornets, yeah. They could use, yeah, Charlotte. Yeah, whatever. Charlotte, North Carolina. They could use a big guy. LaMelo's.
That's a good point.
LaMelo's kind of proven himself to be a pretty damn good point guard, and they just need those couple pieces. I think they could use some veteran help. They got Gordon Hayward, who's been decent for them, but I think they just need that one or two more pieces. I mean, Gordon Hayward kind of peaked in right before he got injured, essentially, and he's never been the same since. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and he got. I mean, I think he could have worked out in the Celtics if he never got hurt, but he did get hurt.
I agree, but he did. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think Charlotte is someone who could definitely use that big help.
Yeah, that's a good point. With LaMelo Ball absolutely balling, he's a
Yeah.
beast. Which, like, my brother has been, probably the biggest LaMelo Ball advocate for years, and now he's rubbing my face. He puts up 30-point triple doubles as a rookie. So that's a good point. Having him to run pick and rolls off with someone who's a dynamic big man could be, a problem for teams for years. So
how about Milwaukee for one of them? Give them a big man. That's a completely different game over there.
Right. It takes the pressure off of Giannis.
Yeah, give Giannis another. They don't really have a big, like, other than they have Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
That's like that's an interesting one because, like, Giannis is essentially a big man. Like, he's freaking massive.
Giannis is own
plays
breed,
like,
though.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, like, I'm trying to think, like, would you want somebody like Drummond to play off the pick and roll and use him more like
I don't think
forward, or do you want another like really dynamic big man like Blake Griffin, where they just are two big, massive, dynamic people both doing the same thing, kind of like LeBron and AD almost? Like, you could create something like that.
I personally think Drummond would fit better than Blake there, because they don't really need help shooting. Blake isn't dominant on the inside anymore. He isn't like how he was in LA. The Bucks already have who? Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. They have Giannis. Give them Andre Drummond. He's getting boards, playing D. That I think that would help them a ton.
Yeah,
and they're already a top team in the East.
And they're a good team, and I think Chris Middleton's an absolute stud. Giannis obviously has proven himself. I agree. I think Drummond would be the better fit in that situation than obviously Blake Griffin.
And you guys talk about it like I think they're going to be a big team in the East for years. The problem is they need to win in the playoffs. Like, so far, Giannis is like James Harden. Like, he's a playoff bust. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Giannis, all three cannot win in the playoffs right now. Those are three players that need to get there and win.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's really. There's a couple other teams that come to mind, but nothing as. I think the Bucks and Charlotte are your best two options. I think Atlanta. Go ahead.
Atlanta. Yeah. My other one's Utah. Donovan Mitchell's an absolute bucket, and they're leading the West right now, like number one in the West. And you have Rudy Gobert with Donovan Mitchell and all that very good supporting cast. You throw one more big man in there, you throw a Blake Griffin at power forward in that situation. Right. I don't know. That team could, give the teams like the Clippers and Lakers some trouble. So,
yeah, they've been freaking going nuts over there in Utah.
Oh, yeah, they can't lose.
Yeah, which is crazy because besides like Mitchell and Lopez, you're not. There's no crazy name on that team. It's really like they're a team. They're a legit team over there. They're playing for each other, and like they just work. Their combined styles of play are working. They don't have. I mean, yes, Mitchell's obviously a top tier point guard, but you don't have that crazy big name. You don't have a guy like LeBron or KD or anyone on the Nets essentially, and they're just making it work. So I think they could benefit a lot from that. And
my response to that is put some respect on Donovan Mitchell's name.
Oh no,
Yeah.
he's a top tier point guard in the league. I totally agree. But I'm saying it's big names, like big names. They don't have really anyone like that besides like Mitchell, obviously. But
What about sending Blake back? What about sending Blake back to LA? You lost Montrezl Harrell last year. Lost Montrezl Harrell. He went to the Lakers. You have Serge, but other than that, not really another solid big man.
Yeah. The issue with that is you already have so many. Like you already have to deal with having Kawhi and Paul George already two forwards on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
So like Blake Griffin
throwing in a third would just.
I just said Blake because he already was with the Clippers. I think. Yeah, I feel like Drummond would fit that role a lot better. I just said Blake because he's already been there.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll pretty much just roll into this question because it goes with it. AD unhealthy, having an aggravated right Achilles. Right now, it's supposed to be a 2 to 3 week injury, but then he gets reevaluated. So, he has a history of injury, history of not being healthy. The Lakers without him are obviously not the same team. Who is your favorite to win the ship right now with him being unhealthy? Cam, you start.
Go ahead.
Me to start. Oh, I don't want to say the Nets because I don't think they're gonna pull it off. I think something's gonna go. I think something's gonna go wrong. I don't know what yet. I'm not gonna make a prediction, but I don't think.
I'm totally with you there.
East, I feel like conference championship's gonna be Sixers Bucks. Even though they're 1 and 2 right now, I just don't see any other team beating either one of them. I just don't. West, Lakers are going back. I think that's a lock. Personally, LeBron's not selling for anything less over there. And even with AD out, he'll take that team.
He's gonna be the MVP this year.
Exactly. And if AD goes down and he keeps him there, 100%. I'm still saying the Lakers. Personally, I just think there's no stopping LeBron, and I feel like AD will come back. And even not 100%, AD will. LeBron. That's all LeBron needs.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. I don't think Utah is going to keep up this pace.
No.
Like I do think they're a very, very good team, and I think they'll be a high seed in the playoffs. Something's got to crack eventually, and I think it will. East-wise, I mean, yeah, I do agree that I think the Lakers are going back. I don't know if they'll win it, but I think they're going to go back. I think the Sixers are playing out of their minds right now too. No one's really giving them enough credit. They're playing very, very well. Bucks are the Bucks, obviously. I think the Heat could be okay. There's not really anyone on the East right now that's kind of going crazy. Besides, obviously, the Sixers are having a very, very good season. I think the championship's going to run to the West again. So I think I might have to just go Lake Show.
There's no one I'm really scared of. Like, there's no one I'm like, wow, they're like, there's no Warriors or no Lakers.
Right, because even the Nets, Nets with those studs, they're losing games, which you're thinking, how could they possibly ever lose a game? Right.
The thing with basketball, though, is like the regular season almost doesn't tell you that much. Like, the thing is, with those three players, three of the most dynamic scorers in the league, you have to pretty much silence at least two of them on 4 out of 7 nights or games over the 2 weeks in a row. That sounds like a pretty impossible task.
Right.
to me. But
LeBron and AD themselves are beating those three. But if
I
AD's
would
gone,
100% agree. But if AD's not
yeah,
healthy,
that's
and I don't
that
know,
brings up a
like
huge
there's
debate.
there's it's not like I'm with you guys. I don't think the Nets are a lock at all because the 76ers are, JoJo Embiid is unreal. Ben Simmons is playing unreal. The Heat and the Bucks. I don't think Giannis is a fighter. I think he's, he knows that he needs to make a playoff run. He's gonna do it. You're gonna have some really good games in the playoffs, and then the West is ridiculous when you have.
Yeah.
I'd say the 5 teams are. I'd put the Jazz in the conversation to this point. Clippers have a lot to prove.
Yep.
All LA Western Conference Finals is something that they probably want. They need to prove themselves
100%.
with LA. Like that's especially after last year crumbling that much.
Right.
Warriors.
I think Warriors could make a potential push.
Curry's in the same boat. He's now trying to make another title run and prove himself without KD and Klay Thompson right now, and doing it. Like
He's having an insane year.
Yeah, I totally agree.
There's a lot of teams on both sides that, I mean, I'm with you guys. I think right now, like with a fully healthy team and an MVP LeBron at 36 years old, like it's really hard to see anybody beating them. But there's a lot of super teams and a lot of teams with a lot of talent, and it's a fun league right now. Honestly, I'm liking the NBA right now. It's a lot more fun than, Cavs Warriors every year, which it was fun to watch that series every year, but it's a lot more fun going into All-Star weekend coming up with about 5 or 6 teams on both conferences that could make a, that's
I 100%
that's what the NBA needs more of. That's what's so exciting about college basketball. It's because anybody could win on any given day. That's same with the NFL. I think basketball, you get lost in that sometimes because the last 5 or 6 or 8 years, you've had these crazy super teams that are just mowing down people. And I think this year, there's no one really like that. Yeah, you could say the Nets are like that, but they're not meeting expectations. And I think you have teams like freaking Utah, who no one thought would be having this run, and they are. And I think that's just what makes it fun, is anybody could win any time. People thought the Celtics would be this great team this year. They're shit in the bed. Like no one knows what's going to happen this year. I think that's kind of what makes it actually really enjoyable to watch.
Even as a Celtics fan, I kind of came into this year knowing it was going to be similar to last year or maybe even a little worse.
I had high hopes. I did.
I had high hopes because you had a good team last year and you added Tristan Thompson.
Agreed.
And this rookie Pritchard, who I didn't think was going to be good, ended up stepping up a lot. And you have Jason Tatum and Brown.
Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker.
Right. And they're just not showing up, which is.
Yeah, I know. They have the pieces.
Right.
They make a run. They really
for sure.
Yeah, they just got to solve the puzzle. But I think they could pick it up. I think they got to have their come to Jesus moment. And
they're also very young.
They're super young. They'll be good for a while.
Yeah, like when you say get the pieces come together and there's a lot of time left, I really don't see them overcoming any of those teams with all that firepower that we've already listed in the East. But I think there's a lot that could happen over the next couple of years, and we might see them in a top spot, which I'd be really excited for.
I do think
I've really Celtics had fun watching the Celtics since their Rondo, Paul Pierce days.
I disagree with that. I think when they drafted Jason Tatum, when they got Brown, I think that those first couple of years were super exciting. I think I still like watching them. I watched even last year in the bubble; they were exciting to watch.
I don't know. I'm just sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just kind of like a realist when it comes to like my sports teams. Like I try to be almost pessimistic in a way. Like I'm really like the Patriots blow, the Red Sox blow.
They do.
And like I just like even watching the bubble last year, I was like, oh, the Celtics are fun to watch. But at no point during that bubble or that season was I like, yeah, they're gonna come out of this on top. Whereas like
Yeah.
back in when there was Heat versus Celtics, LeBron versus Celtics in the final, like in the Eastern Conference Finals, I was like, let's freaking go! Like we could do this.
Yeah.
There's zero thought in my mind that we're doing this.
To get super off topic for a second, shout out to the Boston Bruins and all the Boston Bruins fans. They're having a great year, especially losing one of their top guys last year. They're coming out crazy, swinging. So
They're carrying Boston.
yeah,
Facts.
when the Bruins are carrying Boston right now, and that's not a good place for Boston sports. I will say, I have to give a little bit of sympathy to Houston fans right now.
Yeah.
In the past year and a half, because us Boston fans know what that's like. So quick little keep your heads held high, Houston fans, because they're going through it right now.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's awful.
Yeah, poor guys down there. I mean, us. Hey, we know what's going on. We lost Mookie, we lost Brady, we lost Gronk.
Oh yeah, no, we're going through it too. We're going
You
through
guys
it too.
lost Brady. You guys lost Gronk.
All right.
None of that we stuff here.
Yeah, I was gonna say just to wrap up because I think we're pretty much good, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
to
we're
wrap-
decent on time actually.
All right. Well, if
If
you
you
guys
want
have
to go
anything
into
else,
if you want to go into Spieth real quick, we could do that.
if you want, I don't think Cam really knows golf.
That's
But-
fair.
No. Not much of a golf guy.
You know
I'll
who
say
Jordan
then-
Spieth is, Cam?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know who Jordan Spieth is.
Yeah, Jordan Spieth. He hasn't been good since like 2017, where he was, like literally a rookie phenom.
And he
And
Did
was
he win the Masters or something?
In 2017, he won the Masters and the PGA Championship.
and then
I'm
and ever
sure.
since that, he's been absolutely horrendous. I mean,
Yeah, but the
awful,
past
awful,
2
awful.
But the past 2 weeks, he's been going
He's been
into
top five, I
Sunday,
think.
last day winning, and then choked twice. So
I don't know if I'd call it a choke. I just don't think he's playing his third round like he should be playing his fourth round. I think that's what.
I
kind
don't
of
know.
is
That's
scaring
where I
him right now.
disagree. I call it a choke. If you're in golf, if you're leading on Sunday and you don't win, you choked.
Yeah.
Unless somebody
I-
shoots like a 62, it's a choke, and nobody.
But it's
hit.
only 2 strokes.
People-
Like 2 strokes is nothing in golf. 2 strokes really isn't a lot.
Yeah, but
If you're winning by
Bradley, he shot
4 or 5 or 6,
par on Sunday. He
Yeah,
shot
I
even
know.
par.
I agree.
not
He
a
had
par
to go
golfer.
low.
If he's a par golfer, he's not on the tour.
No, I agree. I agree. He had to go lower than he did. I mean, yes, this Sunday I might call it choke because he was on par. Last week, I don't think he choked.
Brooks Koepka did play out of his mind.
Brooks, yeah, he deserved that win more than anybody.
I mean, if again, Spieth shot, I think he shot over on Sunday. Like, if he's keeping on
yeah.
the pace that he played, like he's
yeah,
in,
he's just fizzling out like
getting-
when it matters
he-
most.
if he really like played like he should have on Sunday, after Brooks Koepka hits that eagle on 17,
Yeah,
I think Spieth could go into 18 with an approach shot to win the tournament.
Right.
You know, like that's the.
it'll be
thing.
interesting in the next few weeks to see from Jordan Spieth if he can keep up his, at least
Yeah,
making cuts.
I don't know his schedule. I don't know how many weeks he plans on playing, but the thing is, he's a really optimistic guy, and he says now he's said in interviews, he's like, I know my game's not where it was, but it's really cool to see the pieces start to come together where I can
Yeah.
get there. So he
And
knows
he's having
that
fun again.
yeah,
he's,
right.
he's not
he's
like
a fun
frustrated in his
guy.
head. Yeah, I agree.
The thing that's very fun to watch him play is he's not a machine. And I saw like
Right.
Riggs from Barstool say this.
Mhm.
Going on Saturday at TPC Scottsdale, which was last week, he was dead last in driving accuracy.
Yeah,
Through Saturday, dead last, hit the least amount of fairways, and was first in.
yeah.
Like,
he
that means-
did what he had to do to get like.
Yeah.
Like he's making
Yeah,
crazy
he's
putts
not a
like
machine.
no one's business. Like he was just
He's-
holding super far putts from like.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
wow.
And the thing is, that's the thing. He's not a Tiger Woods who
No.
on any given day is going to hit 14 out of 14 fairways, 18 out of 18 greens. You know,
Right.
like. But
Yeah, right. He's a scrappy guy, and
yeah, he's just crap.
but that's what makes golf fun, like to watch, even like especially to watch, honestly, because like watching PGA Tour guys and just seeing them bomb fairways and chip on, roll it back to 2 feet and putting for par. That's what gets boring. That's what boring. I think it's very very good golf. I wish I could do it, but it's boring to watch. I like guys that I can be relatable to, at least as a fan, and being like, oh
Yeah, I'm
well,
almost the
that
opposite.
happened.
Yeah,
Really?
I would agree.
Well, for me,
Like,
because like
why would I
me,
want
I
to watch
watched
myself
golf.
golf?
For me, I watched golf for years, and I'm like, golf is boring as hell. But now that I know how hard it is to do what they do day in and day out, I'm like,
Oh no, my
I
respect level
love.
for them is through the roof. Like
I just
DJ,
like.
I couldn't respect that guy more. He's an absolute phenom of a golfer. But I do like watching a guy shank a ball every so often and
Oh
be like, oh,
yeah,
they're
hundred
human too.
percent. Like when they hit it into the water, I feel good about myself. But like, for example, like if I play 4 days of golf in a row, as you know, the 18 handicap I am, I'm shooting plus 60 to 70 or plus
Right, yeah.
50 in those 4 days, where they're shooting 20 under par. It's almost
Yeah.
a full round of strokes.
Right.
Where
But
I mean,
I'll
than
also
me.
say some of the best golf shots you'll ever see are guys who are scrambling out of the rough. Are guys that are like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
in the sand in a fairy bunker and they put it to 3 feet, or like they hold out from behind
Right.
a tree or something like that. Like that's exciting golf to watch. And I think
Yeah, when you see
hitting,
Bubba Watson at the Masters hit a 90-degree shot,
yeah,
like that's the kind of stuff where you're
right.
like,
That's what makes golf exciting to watch. And is it fun to hit, or is it exciting to watch guys hit fairways and just birdie every hole? Yeah, of course. But it like your
think
respect
so.
level's through the roof for them. But it's like, okay, like we get it, you're a pro golfer. When they like hit a shank or when they duff a chip, you just kind of like you laugh at them a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, I've done that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I don't know. That could just be me. Like when watching Francesco Molinari absolutely top his drive, I was like, oh, that's funny, and like I kind of enjoyed watching that because
when he didn't even make it past the women's tees.
yeah, like that's just funny to watch. I
Yeah.
think, but yes, I will say watching good golf also is very entertaining to watch.
All right. We can pretty much wrap this up.
Yeah, I was
The
just
only
gonna
other
say.
thing that I'll say is stay tuned for Cam on later episodes. Him
Oh, yeah.
being a New York Giants fan provides for, great content with the tons of
Oh, dude.
conversations. But
Sure, I'm excited for those. Those are gonna be my favorite.
yeah,
Yeah,
Cam,
those
Cam
are
is
good
fun.
almost made me want to. Cam with text message he sent me has made me want to drive to the school he's at and punch him in the face. So there's a lot of content there.
Yeah,
And we have a lot of
that'll
other
be good fun this offseason, seeing how the Giants handle their shit show and how New England handles their shit show. I think that
Yeah.
could be.
It's interesting that they both have them. So
At this
Nah,
point, they're very.
no.
Go ahead.
No, keep going. No, you can got it.
I was just saying, at this point, I feel like they're pretty similar in where they are as a football team at this moment. Yes, you have Daniel Jones. Yes, you
I'll
have
save
Daniel
it.
Jones. Yeah, save it.
No, it's not
Another
just
episode.
him. No, I'll save it.
You
I'll
have,
save it.
yeah, you have Saquon. You have all that stuff. I think you need help though, and so do we.
Oh, we're not done yet.
No,
But
yeah,
I feel like we're
agree.
close. I feel like we're closer than you guys.
I don't know if you can put them in the same discussion until you see what both teams do this offseason though. Because like if the Patriots get like a Russell Wilson,
Right.
like then this is a completely different conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But
Which
that'll
he's
be a
in
later
talks.
episode. So
There are
if you want to hear that,
rumors.
if you want to hear that fun debate, stay tuned for a future episode because that'll definitely that could be a whole episode in itself. To be completely honest.
100% could be.
Oh my God, we could get like 8 people on here.
Oh
4
yeah.
on 4 Patriots Giants. We could do Dan Parker, Cam, Max Hoon, and Pat Martin
Yep.
against the 3 of us. And what is there any other Patriots fans in that group chat?
No, it's just us. I think.
I could get my buddy Noah too. He's big Boston guy.
Yeah, well, we can figure that out in a later episode. But that's all the time we got for today, everyone. So Cam, thanks again for joining, and
Thank you for having me.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and yeah, peace out, everyone.